Colleagues, this meeting is conducted on the MS Team platforms, and the rules of engagement for this platform have been adopted in April 2020, and I shall not repeat those rules. Safe to say that members are fully conversant with the platform, and should there be a need for my intervention if we don't comply with the rules, I will certainly do so. But experience has taught me that there seldom is such a need in our meetings. So with us colleagues, we also have officials of the department, as Johan indicated, that Mr. Carl October's mother is late and is attending a funeral, and on behalf of myself and our committee, we'd like to express our heartfelt condolences and all strength to Mr. October and his family. And then we also have with us, I think, Mr. Carstens, who is the Chief Engineer of Road Use. And then from the Premier's office, we have Ms. Tor, State Legal Advisor. And then we also have Ms. van Rensburg, who is part of our language services. So those are the people, officials that are present in our meeting. If there are any other officials and they would like to make a contribution, and then certainly they can introduce themselves. The colleagues, the reason that we are here this morning is, one, to consider the revised draft A bill of the Western Cape Provincial Transport Infrastructure Bill, which we adopted on the 21st of February. So when the draft bill was adopted at this particular meeting on the 21st, the English texts were presented before this committee, and we have gone through the bill clause by clause, and we adopted the bill, and a subsequent report in relation to the adoption of the bill was also agreed to by this meeting. However, when the English text was measured against the Afrikaans text of the bill, when it was translated, the language practitioners highlighted certain, I wouldn't say anomalies, but certain translations that is not really considered to be an accurate sort of description of the meaning of the English text. So what we're going to do now is that we're going to, the A-list bill was distributed where the sort of translations were highlighted. There are consequential impacts of the translation. It does not affect the bill substantively. The bill that will always be referred to will be the English text that was adopted. But I'm going to hand over to Ms. Tor, who's the State Law Advisor in the Premier's office, just to take us through the legalities around the translated bill, and also perhaps explain to us whether there would be a similar sort of impact, effects, so to speak, if comparing the English translation with the isiXhosa translation. So I'm going to hand over to Advocate Amanda Tor, who will just briefly take us through the legalities surrounding the ABLE. Ms. Tor, hand over to you. So if you could simply just, give us an introduction a bit. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. I don't know about the rest of the members. Colleagues, can you hear Advocate Tor?
Loud and clear.
Loud and clear.
Thank you very much. Essentially, I reiterate what the Chairperson has said regarding the discrepancies that were picked up between the English version of the bill and the Afrikaans version of the bill. The A-list was being translated. The A-list agreed at the previous standing committee meeting, was in the process of being translated into Afrikaans and Xhosa, and some other discrepancies between the text were identified in terminology changes. So it was deemed prudent to include the changes to the Afrikaans necessary to align it more exactly with the English version. They are relatively minor changes, but be that as it may, we want to, there to be 100% alignment and to correct it. And it was all of these, both the amendments agreed at the previous meeting to the English. They've now been translated into Afrikaans, as well as some other corrections made to the Afrikaans have now been reflected in the Afrikaans ABLE. Just also to explain that they're direct mirror images of each other, the two bills that I understand has been circulated. So the corrections to the Afrikaans that are not made in the English are reflected in the English version of the ABLE, and the minor little corrections that were made to the English that do not impact the Afrikaans were reflected in the Afrikaans version of the ABLE. So that's just to explain the structure. And my understanding is because these discrepancies were picked up, it was deemed prudent to put this before the committee, just to have notice of these corrections made to the Afrikaans. Clearly, it's important that the Xhosa text is also aligned with the English text in the process of translation. Thank you very much, Chair. If there are any further questions, then I can answer those, but that's just essentially the background. Because these discrepancies were picked up in the Afrikaans version, it was considered prudent to bring them to the attention of the committee to consider them and approve them, but there's no impact on the English, the substance of the English text. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tor. Honourable van der Westhuizen, I notice your hand, but before I give you an opportunity to respond, could I ask Mr. van Rensburg if there's anything else that you'd like to add to what Mr. Tor says, seeing that he is a language practitioner, and maybe there's just sort of something that you would like to say. Mr. van Rensburg, can you hear me?
Yes, good morning.
Okay, good.
I can only add that the process, the translation process of the first list of amendments showed that there were certain problems in the Afrikaans translation, and this new list of amendments in the ABLE tries to make the Afrikaans correspond exactly to the English text that was adopted.
Thank you, Mr. van Rensburg. So now I'm going to recognize Honourable van der Westhuizen. Please proceed.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Chair, we late yesterday received two documents. The first one starts with file number or file name 597, and the other one with 603. Now, I take it that the Afrikaans had to be brought in line with the English version, and you might recall that at our previous meeting I highlighted the fact that we only considered and adopted the English version of the legislation, and that should it be challenged in court, or should there be questions in court as to the various translations, that the English one should prevail. But now I do see an interesting thing in 603, and that is when it speaks to clause or clausule 17, paragraph 25, where interestingly enough, it still goes back to the English version. So can I ask, is it a matter that when Mr. van Hensburg was comparing the two versions, that he still picked up certain, can I call it glaring English mistakes in the English version that we actually adopted, and that the one that we adopted last time would still have, have a further amendment or a further alteration? If perhaps we could just be informed of why this is also referring back to the English version and some changes to the English copy. Thank you.
Baie dankie. Thank you, Andrew, for the conversation. I see Ms. Stoll. I recognize you, Ms. Stoll. Please, if you want to respond directly, because before you may respond, just wanted to know, clausule 17, is daar verwysing, afbare van die wysheid na to bullet point number 25? Dat die Engelse weergawe op bladsy 19 in reël 55 die eerste, the commencement, geskraap moet word. Just help. Okay, could Ms. Stoll, if you want to respond?
Thank you, Chairperson. This correction was included in the able that has already been considered by the committee. There are no further amendments to the English text. So the only changes to the English able are the addition of the Afrikaans corrections. I can confirm that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Right, any other comments before we consider the ables in front of us, colleagues? Okay, I can, Andrew van der Westhuizen, you again?
Yeah, so Chair, actually, my understanding then that paragraph 25 in the document starting with the number 603 should actually be omitted, and that the paragraph numbers after that should then be adjusted or renumbered, because we're now saying that, something which we already scrapped should be scrapped.
Okay, I assume that is the case. Yeah, thank you. Colleagues, with the parliamentary law advisor, Advocate Maasdorp, also communicated with me last week, and that he also expressed his regret for not being able to be here due to prior arrangements. Johan, I can attest that he requested me to tender his apology for this meeting. Advocate Maasdorp indicated to me exactly the same words expressed by Ms. Amanda Toll, that the bill in front of us does not in any way substantively impact and change the original bill that was adopted by this committee. And he's also sort of happy, and he aligned himself with the sentiments that was expressed by Ms. Toll in terms of the history of this particular sort of corrections, or put it that way, for lack of a better word, of this particular bill. So the concerns expressed by Honourable van der Westhuizen, in the event of any litigation against the department or the provincial parliament, the text that will always be presented as accurate sort of reflection of accurate description of the clauses in the bill would be the English text, and because that is also the text that the Premier will assent to it should the bill be adopted by Parliament. So with that said, none of us are language practitioners, colleagues. Put it this way, the text that was presented in the A bill to us, they are, put it this way, let me see that quickly. Let me just give you a moment, colleagues. Oh man, sorry. Okay, the text was presented to us, and if we look at the Western Cape Provincial Transport Infrastructure Bill B5/2021, the amendments that were agreed to, all the amendments that were agreed to by this committee, and then we have the various clauses. Now, as I was saying, that none of us, but maybe we have about some members who are language practitioners, but it goes from clause 1, and then it stipulates the various pages and the various sort of lines within the bill where the clauses are affected. And if we look at, just by way of an example, clause 1, in the Afrikaans text on page 61, after line 58, to insert the following definition. Groot pad, 'n pad wat kragtens artikel 7, 1A of 4 as 'n groot pad gekategoriseer is, of ingevolge artikel 8.3 as 'n groot pad geag word. That is a definition of a groot pad. So wherever groot pad appears in the bill, it will relate to this particular definition. So for another example, on bullet number 5, in the Afrikaans text on page 62 and in line 43, to delete the definition of padbaan. So those are the kinds of amendments that are being sort of considered to bring it in alignment with the English text. Then we have the deletion of a primêre pad. In the Afrikaans text, we have a primêre pad and a substitute, and to be substituted with a groot pad, and those kind of discrepancies that were picked up with the translation when compared with the English text of the bill. So similarly, in the event of the discrepancies that may arise in the event of there be such with the translations that may be brought to our attention. But as I was saying, and as Mr. was saying, is that there's no substantive changes, or doesn't have substantive impact on the bill itself. So I'm not going to put the various clauses to this meeting for adoption. I'm going to put the entire A bill to the House for adoption. Let me see. Ms. Underwood van der Westhuizen, I recognize you.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, we've got two documents in front of us. The one, as I've said, starts with file number 597, the other one with 603. In some respects, they do correspond. It's a duplication of some of the clauses, such as those that you've just read. But then in other clauses, there are differences, or paragraphs, there are differences between the documents. So perhaps if I could first just get an understanding of the can I call it the history of these two, and perhaps which one are we now working from? Which one would we now be considering first? If we could just get some clarity on there, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think Honorable Sileku, that your hand. Honorable Mr. Kutsia, sorry, I recognize you.
It's not my chair. It's not my hand, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Sileku.
Chair, yes, the two documents are mirror images of each other. The one is the English version of the A list, and the other one is the Afrikaans version of the A list. So if you do put the A bill, you will put both documents. The only reason why they have two different file names is because the one is the English version of it, and the other one is the Afrikaans version. The amendments that was made in the Afrikaans text will be reflected in the A bill of the English, or the English version of the A bill, and vice versa. So they are in essence exactly the same document, except the one is in Afrikaans, the one is in English.
Okay, thank you, Anne. I was going to say that also that that's how I read the documents also on from the website. You have an English text and you have Afrikaans text, and compare the two, they speak to the same matters. There's a hand there that I don't know exactly whose hand it is.
It's Johan Vermeulen, Chair.
Oh, hello, Johan.
Hi, hello, Chair.
For the meeting, Johan Vermeulen is Senior Procedural Officer. Thank you, Johan.
Yes, Chairperson, firstly, I apologize. I was about 10 minutes late. I received an important phone call that I had to cut short. But Chairperson, there's just one thing I want to ask for clarity's sake, because we have to obviously after the meeting ensure that we get the A bill 100% correct, because it's going to obviously impact now the B bill again. There was a question that Honourable Hendrikus van der Westhuizen raised about a certain clause, and it was answered by Ms. Amanda Tor, but then afterwards Mr. van der Westhuizen still said no, but then something needs to be deleted or scrapped. And there was no response from Ms. Tor, so I'm not sure if the A bill is being put exactly as it is, or is there something that Member Hendrikus still feels that there is in the A bill that needs to be deleted. I think I got confused there, because for me there was no conclusion. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Johan. Let's just revert back to Honourable van der Westhuizen. Please just alert us again to that particular concern that you expressed in that regard.
Chair, no, there seems to be then a deletion that we previously agreed to, but that is then repeated in this document that is currently in front of us. So I think that has been dealt with before already, and yeah, perhaps just then therefore carried over to the documentation in front of us today.
Okay, thank you, Honourable van der Westhuizen. Johan, you want to respond? See your hand is up.
Chairperson, just to explain that the original amendment was in the English to delete the first commencement, to delete it. Now, what is done now is it will reflect in the Afrikaans version of the A bill as well, to say that in the English text, in that line and that line, paragraph or page, the first commandments be deleted. So it's just it's not that it gets deleted twice. It's just a reflection in the Afrikaans text, exactly the same.
Okay, thank you, Johan. Mr. van Rensburg, you initially had your hand up. Is there anything that you pressingly want to share with us?
Yes, I can only add that this is a consolidated list. So all the amendments that you approved at your previous meeting, they all reappear in this document. So this is a consolidated list of amendments.
Thank you, Mr. van Rensburg. So as Mr. van Rensburg was putting it, that the lists that we have, the A list that we have in front of us, represent a consolidated list of all the clauses that were impacted upon the changes that were brought about on the B bill that we've adopted on the 21st. But, you know, as we go through it, is this whereby the alignment with the Afrikaans and the English text is sort of presented to us. So, for example, line 28, we have to omit grond and to substitute grondgebruik. That's the kind of alignment that we're talking about. So we have to trust our language practitioners and our legal people that the A list here now is a accurate, good faith attempt to bring the Afrikaans text in line with the English text, other than if there's sort of conspicuous misalignment. Please highlight that, colleagues, and then we can attend to it. Honourable van der Westhuizen, I recognize you.
Yes, thank you, Chair. My apologies, but I'm really still struggling to understand it. Unfortunately, we only received these documents yesterday afternoon. Are any of the previous documents that we considered, therefore, to be, can I call it, repealed or replaced by any of the documentation in front of us today? And if so, shouldn't the records just reflect that? Thank you.
Okay, yeah, just to respond to that, and I think Jan will sort of also give his input. Just remember that at our meeting on the 21st of February, this committee adopted the bill. So with the amendments that were proposed, etc., nothing of that has changed. That is still the bill that we as a committee adopted, that will be presented to Parliament for consideration, and if agreed to, they will be assented by the Premier in the course of time. So that in itself is nothing. Nothing needs to change from that position that we have agreed to at our meeting on the 21st. What will change is that, if members can recall, after we've adopted the bill, we adopted a report that was based on the basis of us having sort of adopted the bill. So what this meeting needs to do then, if we agree to the A list that is presented before us, that we need to rescind that report, because that report is no longer applicable. We will then adopt a new report based on the outcome of today's meeting. So that's the only matter that will be affected by this particular process today. So I don't know if Mr. Vermeulen would like to add anything to it.
Chairperson, yes, thank you very much. I think you've summed it up perfectly, and Johan Kutsia is also very well known with the whole process. He would have said exactly the same thing. It's once the committee now adopts this consolidated list, it just means that the previous report of the 21st will be rescinded so that there will only be one report, and today's report will be adopted, and that means then that the consolidated list goes forward and is incorporated into the B-bill, especially for the Afrikaans changes. And luckily, we haven't sent the previous report to the House, to the ATC yet. So now that once it's rescinded, we adopt a new report, we can send it to the ATC to be ATC'd, and then have the bills printed, and everything will be fine, and then there will only be one report. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Anne. Mr. Vermeulen, much appreciated. Andricus, my apologies. Andrew van der Westhuizen, does that satisfy your, could you?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for that clarification, Chair.
Thank you so much. So, colleagues, coming back to the A list. So there are all the clauses that were amended and amended to on the at our meeting on the 21st of February. So there's the what is presented in the A list is where there's desire to align the Afrikaans text with the English text, and the clauses that are affected by this sort of misalignment or realignment are listed to us there, and I'll go through the clauses. It's clause 1, clause 7, clause 8, clause 10, clause 11, clause 12, clause 13, clause 14, clause 15, clause 16, clause 17, clause 18, clause 19, clause 20, clause 24, clause 32, clause 34, clause 36, clause 37, clause 39, clause 40, clause 43, clause 44, clause 49, clause 50, clause 54, clause 56, clause 58, clause 59, clause 60, clause 61, clause 62, clause 63, clause 64, clause 67, clause 71. And those are all the clauses that are impacted upon this realignment on the A list. And I'm going to put all the clauses as read out, colleagues, to you. And if there's any particular question you'd like to raise in relation to those clauses that were just put to you now, and then I offer you an opportunity to do so now. Going once, going twice. Thank you, colleagues. So as I initially indicated that we're not language practitioners, we accepted in good faith that this particular language alignment is correct as presented to us, and having taken into consideration the questions raised by members in this meeting. So I'll put it to you, colleagues. Those clauses as presented to us in the A list, do we have somebody to move that we accept those translations as presented to us?
I will move.
I have a mover, Honorable van der Westhuizen moves that we accept those the A list as presented to us. Have a seconder for that, please?
Seconded, Chair.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I have Honorable Seleku second that this meeting adopts the A list as presented to us. Right, thank you, colleagues, and that concludes that part of it. Colleagues, I would like to let you rest assured, some of you may have serious trepidations about this particular A-list. We have adopted a bill that is fully compliant, that is not impacted upon by these sequential sort of alignment with regard to the Afrikaans text with the English text. So rest assured that it will not have a substantive impact upon the bill that we've adopted on the 21st. So, colleagues, what I expressed earlier in terms of, in response to a question by Honourable van der Westhuizen in terms of anything else that we need to rescind to seek this sort of new sort of outcome of this meeting, and I indicated that we will have to rescind the report that we've adopted at our previous meeting on the 21st of February 2023, and then adopt a new report. Can I have a mover that we rescind the report that we've adopted on the 21st, and that report is not very dissimilar to the one that we will adopt today, but procedurally we need to do it that way. Can I have, we just, yeah, so the report dated on the 21st of February has to be rescinded by this committee, and I as a chairperson cannot unilaterally just decide that we rescind. I recognize Honourable van der Westhuizen. Honourable van der Westhuizen.
Thank you,
Please
Chair.
proceed.
I propose that we rescind that report as proposed by yourself. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Honourable van der Westhuizen. Honourable colleagues, say seconder for that proposal.
I propose, Chair, as per your directive. Thank you very much. I second
Thank you,
that
Honourable
proposal.
Seleku. Thank you, Honourable August. So, having rescinded the previous report and having adopted the A-list as presented to us, this committee now need to adopt a new report because this bill cannot go to the ATC without the report. So, Johan, can you perhaps just flight the new report? It was circulated to members. Can you just flight it for us on the screen, and then we just go through the text and then consider the adoption of the new report? Johanna, can you hear me? Okay, good. Okay, can you enlarge it a little, please? The text. Okay, good. So, colleagues, the new report would be, and I'm going to read it out for record purposes. So, the report of the Standing Committee on Transport and Public Works on the Western Cape Provincial Transport Infrastructure Bill, open brackets, P5/2021, dated 7 March 2023. The Standing Committee on Transport and Public Works, having considered the subject of the Western Cape Provincial Transport Infrastructure Bill, P5/2021, referred to it in accordance with the Standing Rule 173, reports the bill with amendments B5 B5A-2021 and B5B-2021. That is the report. So, colleagues, that brings. Is there a mover that we adopt this report, or?
I so move.
Chairperson.
Thank you, Honourable van der Westhuizen. Let's move Honourable van der Westhuizen.
Chairperson.
Yeah, Honourable Mvimbi. Hi, welcome.
Yes. Thank you very much, Chairperson. Obviously, I have been listening to the changes that have been made in terms of the language. Now it looks like we are actually now adopting, we are re-adopting the report as compared to the previous one. I just want to check that because at the previous meeting, I want just to have the clarity whether is this now a new, is it going to be a new report? Because at the previous meeting, I did express abstention. I did, if it can be remembered, that I did abstain. If now, whilst taking into consideration all the changes that have been made and having noted those in terms of the language, but I just want to indicate that the abstention that I have proposed in the previous meeting, that abstention still stand.
Yeah, Andrew Mvimbi, thank you for raising that again. And I think it will be reflected in the minutes if you so wish to abstain as you've expressed so, but it will not be contained in the report itself, but in the minutes of the meeting it will be recorded as such. Johan, am I correct? Well, you will do that?
That's correct, Chairperson, and it will reflect in the minutes as per previous minutes as well, yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, colleagues, Honourable Mvimbi, are you satisfied with that?
Yes, Chairperson, thank you very much.
Great, thank you. So, so the report has been now adopted. Thank you, colleagues. As Mr. Vermeulen was stating that now the formal processing of the bill will take effect, will be ATC'd, and it will eventually go to Parliament and to the Premier if it's adopted by Parliament. So on behalf of the committee, I'd like to express my deepest appreciation to the departmental officials, and to Mr. Carstens and to Mr. October and to Ms. Tor, who have walked a long road with us with regard to this particular bill, and the many other colleagues who are not part of this meeting who made a significant, impactful contribution to the content of the bill, and the many other people who outside of the department who also, through public participation, played their role. Let me also thank Mr. van Rensburg for the invaluable role that you and your department plays with regard to ensuring that our documentations reflect accurately the meaning of the English text in terms of all our languages in the Western Cape. I'd like to thank you for that and your team. From Johan Vermeulen, thank you so much also for supporting us in terms of making sure we do the right thing all the time. So colleagues, I will allow the officials, if they so wish, to exit the meeting, and then the members stay behind. It's just 2 sets of minutes that we need to adopt, and that's the minutes of the 21st of February, as well as a subsequent meeting that was held on the 24th of February, where I was elected as the chairperson. So those 2 sets of minutes that we need to adopt. So the officials, if you wish, you may exit the meeting and the members will stay behind. And Johan, can you flag the minutes of the 21st, please? There you have it, colleagues, and I must apologize to the members that these documentations were only sent out a day before our meeting. The initial intention was just to deal with this matter administratively, and then having spoken to Mr. Kutsi, I decided that instead of just dealing with it administratively, is that we bring it to the meeting where members could fully appraise themselves with the A-list itself and what it entails and how it is being dealt with, because frankly speaking, it's the first time I'm dealing with something like this, and it's for me it was a learning experience, and we can't simply just go to the house and then make a justification in the house as to why there's no alignment. Having said that, in the house the experts are not there to give a full explanation, and we can bring them to our meeting where they could give context to a particular matter that is being raised and being presented. So that then subsequently, delayed the distribution of the documentations, and I can assure members that there must be extremely exceptional circumstances that will happen again, but it will not happen again, that members will receive documentations a day before a meeting. Okay. I hope that you can, accept the explanation given, and don't view it as an act done with malice intent. It certainly is not the case. So, colleagues, there's minutes of the meeting on the 21st of February. To secure the attendance, all of the members that were present then are present in this meeting. Johan, can you move on to the next page? Move on. Page 2. Honorable Mvumbi, I recognize you.
Can you just on the attendance name? I've always been noticing that my initial is always put on as LM. If it's either they can say L or LL, because my other name also starts with an L, not with an M.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Mvumbi. Mr. Kutsi, will you please attend to that?
Thanks.
Okay, thank you, sir. Will be corrected. Okay, colleagues, on page 2, just move on, Johan. Page 3, just. And there were all the clauses that were amended that were presented to the meeting, and the outcome of each clause that were amended. And as you see on there, it's not LMA, it's LL. Thank you. Wherever consequential corrections need to be made with regard to the initials of Honorable Mvumbi, you will do it. Any corrections, any omissions, any amendments that you would like to propose in relation to the minutes of the 21st of February? Other than the ones that are highlighted by Honorable Mvumbi. Thank you.
No amendments, further amendments, and I move that we adopt this set of minutes.
Thank you, Honorable van der Westhuizen. Is there a seconder, although we don't need a seconder? The seconder that we adopt the minutes of the 21st. Thank you, Honorable Mvumbi. So the minutes of the 21st is agreed to on the proviso that those corrections with regard to Honorable Mbambi's initials will be effected. Could I have the last set of minutes, Johan, which is the 24th, and that's a fairly short set of minutes, is where I was elected as chairperson of the standing committee. Just check your attendance. So thank you, Johan. Could you move on to next? Right. So it's just one page.
Sorry, Chairperson. Can you just
August, you did join the meeting.
Yes, Chairperson. I just want to check. I didn't see my now.
Yes, correct. Honorable Johan Kutsia, you will bring about the presence of Honorable Sean August, which is omitted there.
I will do so, Chairperson. You must maybe next time just announce himself so I can also know that he's in the meetings.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah,
So,
I congratulate you, if I may, as well congratulate you. So yeah, I was present in the meeting. Thank you, Chair.
Yes, I know that. Thank you so much. Apologies that it was submitted from the minutes. Can I have a mover that we adopt the minutes of the 24th of February?
I so move.
Thank you, Honorable van der Westhuizen. Honorable August?
I second that, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable August. Thank you so much. Nothing controversial about that. Okay, colleagues, that brings us to the end of the formal business. If we go back to the agenda of our meeting, it's consideration of the revised A bill, and then we have consideration of committee reports. And then the last matter on the agenda, colleagues, are resolutions. Are there any resolutions that you'd like to propose? Honorable van der Westhuizen, I recognize you.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Chair, I would like to add the committee's support to your proposal at the beginning of this meeting that we convey our condolences to Mr. Carl October on his loss. And I was just wondering whether we couldn't minute this as a unanimous kind of motion or resolution from this committee for action by Mr. Kutsia. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable van der Westhuizen. Honorable Nkondlu, I recognize you.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to check whether it is in the agenda of the committee or one can suggest to just get a briefing at a time appropriate from the department about the engagement of the new minister with the taxi industry, particularly, I think, on the matters that they had to deal with, so that at least we can just have an update so that we avoid any other shock of, this impasse that happen in the sector. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable van Nkondlu. Honorable van der Westhuizen.
I actually wanted to say, and I think it's an excellent proposal by Honorable Nkondlu, and I fully support that, Chair.
Okay, so we will program that particular resolution, so it will be captured as part of our minutes, and we will find the earliest possible date to action that particular resolution. Thank you, Honorable Nkondlu. Any other resolutions you'd like to propose, colleagues? In the absence of any further resolutions, I express my deepest appreciation to our procedural officer, Jan Kutsi. Thank you so much, Jan, for putting this meeting together and the documentation and guiding us through the process. It's always highly appreciated from our side and also from our members on the platform. To Johan Vermeulen, Senior Procedural Officer, again, also in the background for your guidance and assistance in making sure that we are sort of navigating the correct path that we're supposed to. And of course, to our IT support, Siraj and our administrative support, Mfundi, thank you so much also for your role that you play in ensuring that we as a committee function efficiently and that from Siraj and his team's side, that we have an excellent virtual sort of platform to conduct our meetings uninterrupted. And lastly, but not the least, to our colleagues on the platform, thank you also for your role and the manner in which you engage with content dispassionately that is presented to our meetings. And with that, it's the end of our meeting. May you all have a lovely and productive day further. Adios. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, welcome.
Adios, Chair.
Goodbye.
Thank you, Chairperson. Tot ziens.